Welcome, guys, to the 4th episode of the Abbey.
How exciting. I can't believe we've recorded 4 episodes.
Actually, I can. It's not that much.
Well, technically, you recorded 4 episodes. I've recorded 3. Because I was left out of the Michelle one.
It was a bit, man. It was a little...
It's just a little bit.
It's just a little bit.
It's fine.
This is 10 minutes of your life. You interrupted it. You're the whole reason the bell rang.
You can hear my schlumpfing in the background.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about Mickey 17.
Jeez, you jumped right into it, eh?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Get going. You gotta skit. I'm half asleep.
I've interrupted Skye's leave, his first day of leave, to come and record this episode so you guys can get something to listen to.
It's okay. You had to drive all the way out here to Bantry Bay, where I live.
Bantry Bay.
Yes. As you can hear the ocean and the gulls in the background, the hustle and bustle of Cape Town.
All the way from Camps Bay, where I live.
Of course, in that 14-story house.
Yes. With 6 driveways and
2 Lamborghinis
and the private jet.
Oh yeah,
because you can fit those.
I mean, the private jet is just so small compared to mine, so I actually forgot about it.
Yeah, I want that.
I want that too. Let's give each other that life, guys. Go donate to our Patreon today.
We don't have a Patreon. I want a Patreon. Anyway, today we're talking about Mickey 17. It's a bit of a spoiler, so just be prepared. If you haven't watched the movie, go and watch it. We do recommend it in this episode. We also tell you why it's not that great, or it can be that great. It's a complicated dynamic.
That's exactly it. Like, I wouldn't say that it's not great. It's just complicated.
Well, this is a post-cinema decompression chat because we've both gone and watched the film, and we decided it's time to actually talk about it. For the 3rd time in a row.
For the 3rd time now.
We babbled on.
Yeah, we did babble on in the first episode. But I think we're going to knock this one out of the park. We've gone through it.
Do not preface the quality of the episode. Let the audience decide for themselves how terrible we do. Anyway, here you're going to get a bit of behind-the-scenes learning and our both emotionally charged takes on Mickey 17 as seen through the jaded yet deeply affectionate eyes of 2 post-production nerds.
That's exactly it. This movie is like a very complicated relationship. The whole relationship is not perfect, but the sex is mind-blowing.
Are we talking about the movie?
Yeah, we're talking about the movie.
Great. Not quite a review, but not quite a therapy session either. So somewhere in between us.
Somewhere in between.
It does sound like a complicated relationship. What were your first impressions, man?
I will say first impressions, I could already tell it's not a movie for everyone. It is the post-production nerds' absolute... It is our Ren fair. It is one of those things it's one of those films that get released once a year and it blows you away, not for necessarily the best plot, but the visual splendor. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. How did you feel about it?
I thought it was quite a tasty display. How I described it before was it's this weirdly cozy film. Mm. There's comfort in knowing that people are experimenting with new ideas and knowing that there can be shortfalls in places, but gosh damn it, it is a buffet for the eyes. If you had to define the plot in 30 seconds, okay, how would that go? You ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to think about this.
Okay, I've got it.
Got it? Ready?
And
go.
A recycled man jets off to a new planet to discover a new flavor of sauce. Done. The entire movie.
Really?
That's the entire film.
That has nothing to do with the film.
A recycled man goes to a new planet to discover a new type of sauce. He overthrows what would you define their governmental system as?
They're
is it a dictatorship?
Implicated democracy.
Implicated democracy, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. That was a terrible definition. You guys have no idea what this movie is about at this point. The audience is just like, I have no idea what this movie is about.
It's about tomato sauce.
Yeah. Okay, shall I try my 30 seconds?
Go your 30 seconds. Go for it.
Okay.
Jump.
Man borrows money, runs away to space. Turns out he gets recycled constantly because he got hired for a stupid job. And suddenly no one gives a shit about him except for his girlfriend. And then he meets a bug and the bug doesn't kill him, and then he saves the bug, but the bug also wants the other guy dead. They're both bad people. It's a lifestyle. Damn it.
And the bugs win.
Bugs win.
Yeah! Democracy!
No. Oh gosh, the Helldivers community is going to come for me.
Roger that, base. We are history.
And aesthetic-wise, how would you describe the aesthetics
nostalgic.
of it? Nostalgic.
There's something so beautiful. It's definitely in that bloom halation that they use throughout the film. Also, their crop, the blanking on the sides, creates or just emphasizes that really cozy environment that we were speaking about. I think that's what makes the film feel so comforting. Is it feels, yes, sci-fi and futuristic, but this nostalgic feeling that's emanated through every frame. It's beautiful. It's wonderful.
And if you had to compare it to another film?
If I had to compare it to another film.
Like, okay, so let's take a couple films, right, and mash them together to describe this aesthetic.
Ooh, okay. Poor Things, Starship Troopers meets...
Remember, you're a great...
Like slice of life rom-com.
That's a genre.
That's a genre. It's not a film. Okay, I can't think of like a rom-com that kind of fits the dynamic between Naja and Mickey.
Oh yeah, to define the plot, I would understand. But aesthetic-wise, visually, Snowpiercer.
Oh my gosh, Snowpiercer, yes, 100%.
Right. What else? Interstellar.
I wouldn't say Interstellar, because remember, Interstellar was, and look-wise, I'm talking about look-wise.
I'm thinking about the interiors of the ship, that claustrophobic feeling, that almost monochromatic feel with small pops of color.
If I'm looking at set building wise and, you know, the claustrophobia and the way they design the sets, another film that reminds me a lot of Mickey 17 is Spaceman with Adam Sandler.
Oh, what a beautiful film.
What a fantastic film.
Actually, if I had to compare it to modern film, definitely Spaceman kind of hits the note when it comes to aesthetic. The feeling of junkyard-esque build in between this complex environment. Yeah, I see how Spaceman can come into that, especially with the spider in Spaceman, and then the bugs and the weird. Oh, it's so weird. Oh, what a great movie!
But also, once again, a very odd film that, you know, when it first was released, you watch it for the first time and you understand the emotional gravitas in the film, but it's a weird film to watch.
Spaceman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Mickey 17.
It's a weird
film to watch, but wow.
I think the difference between Spaceman and Mickey 17 is you're kind of introduced to the world as your exposition is set. You know what's going on in the world. Spaceman almost becomes this philosophical journey.
Yes.
As opposed to a physical journey that Mickey goes through.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't understand Mickey 17, if you haven't watched the film and you're just listening to this and you're not really concerned about spoilers, then here's the gist of it. Mickey 17, the number actually represents the version of him. So Mickey was this initial guy that lived on Earth, that loaned some money, got into some bad debt, and ran away onto a spaceship where he became an expendable, or he got hired as an expendable. Now, an expendable is an individual that can die and be rebuilt and born onto the spaceship. So they use expendables to, well, do all the dangerous work.
Are we not even going to touch on how they literally reprint him from burning his body over and over again and then combining it with human feces and waste? Reprint him.
He's literally made of trash.
He's made of trash.
Yeah. At least that's how they present him in the story. So it's this fantastic evolution of his character through the different versions of himself. And there's this nice montage in the beginning where we get the different versions of Mickey until we get to Mickey 17. Now, Mickey 17 at some point does get lost on this new planet that they've gone to.
Niflheim.
Niflheim.
Yeah, it's a Norse. It's Norse mythology.
Norse mythology. I realized that at the time.
Yeah, it's where I think Niflheim is where Odin and them.
That's Asgard.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry.
Niflheim is the land of the elves.
Yes.
Yes,
that's right, and that's why he refers to all of his crew members, Mark Ruffalo's crew members, as the elves that inhabit Niflheim. They're returning home. He keeps referring to them returning home.
Mm-hmm. So Mickey 17 gets lost in this land, and they assume he's passed, and they need to reprint a new version of him, becoming Mickey 18. of course. But he survives, he gets back to the ship, and he meets his clone, and that's where the story really starts to get tangible. So really, it's very hard to understand, particularly this episode, if you haven't watched this. So when I ask Skye this question, just understand, it's not going to make complete sense if you haven't watched the movie. Which clone made you feel things?
What kind of things are we talking about?
So Mickey's actually played by Robert Pattinson.
Yes.
So I understand if you're expecting sparkly vampire energy.
Oh, but okay. Do you know what I did not enjoy Mickey 17's character, his demeanor.
Yeah.
It's this very meek, sort of shy, unexposed to reality, go with the flow. You know, he almost is conditioned to take mental and emotional abuse. That is what his character portrays. But Mickey,
not necessarily conditioned to take it, but conditioned to not respond negatively to it.
Yes. Sorry.
Where
yes.
he does not, he's not able to defend himself personally. He just allows it.
Yeah.
And he's in all sense of the word a coward as a character.
But Mickey 18, on the other hand, as much as he is an arrogant, because he is arrogant.
It's a total mental shift.
Yeah, total it's Mickey 17's polar opposite. Word for word, it is the polar opposite of Mickey 17. But Robert Pattinson, you did the things.
You did. You made me feel the things.
You made me feel emotion.
From my perspective, it's a fantastic film.
It is.
I really enjoyed the story in essence. I think the acting left something to be desired, not necessarily on Robert's side, more so on Mark Ruffalo's side. And I found it very difficult to connect with the main character or the main villain of the film. You know, it was very much there's one road and we're going down that road and there's no denying it. And you're like, oh God, this guy has to die at the end. Yeah. Which I was like, yes, but not because I didn't like him, not because I was like afraid of what he could do or how he was influencing the main characters, but rather because I just found him really irritating.
Yeah. Do you know what made Mark Ruffalo's character, what abided in him becoming a very unlikable character? Those goddamn dentures.
The dentures.
Why did they put such huge fake teeth in his mouth? He already has a muffled voice. Why would you do that?
He gave him such a slur.
But you know what? I think it is, because throughout the film, we see Mickey 17, we see Nadja. Everyone has this huge character arc towards the end, which is amazing. We kind of see them come to fruition in character growth-wise. Mark Ruffalo had the same one-tone character note throughout the entire film. So maybe that's why he was killed off, was to kind of emphasize that for them to colonize this new world and actually establish a society, the people that aren't able to adapt, they need to be left behind.
Well, whereas other characters could be described as a full roast dinner, Mark Ruffalo, his character is just like a boiled steak.
It's a cup of sauce.
It's a I give his performance 1 out of 10 cups of sauce.
I love how she also has one of those so in the film, Mark Ruffalo's wife is obsessed with making sauce, and they
out of random shit. But as soon as they arrive on the
it's
just like a random plot thing that comes in, like 3/4 of the way through the movie, suddenly she's obsessed with sauce.
And they arrive on this new planet, and they discover these other life forms called creepers, and she wants to harvest the tails to make this sauce. But my favorite part is when she whips out that Temu handheld blender to make the sauce.
You know the one you put 3 pieces of cucumber in a tomato, and if you press the button, it breaks and you have to buy a new one.
Because it's oh no, too much.
No, it's way too much. It was way too much. But in essence, the film is a total post-production thirst trap.
100%. From grading to VFX to animation to set design, it's
the grain, the palette.
Oof.
The retro future, matte glass sci-fi.
The environments, the tonal palette across environments, from home world to new world to ship. It is it's mind-blowing. Favorite look in the film is when they send Mickey out into space to get exposed to UV radiation.
Yes.
That look was so crisp and clean, and that the music that went with it,
there's a purity. It's it was like a filtered water.
That is the best way to describe it. It felt like filtered water.
Like a gloss, just this glossy, beautiful polishing it. It's amazing. Like you can go through a film, and that, for instance, to make a shot like that feel interesting, I bet you, without a doubt, they took all the grain off.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it only makes sense. I mean, you're in space. There's no dust. There's no fractal influence of light. You know, you're getting all the light you need in space. So to make a shot like that feel pristine and pure and clean, you take the grain off of it, and it feels like it's been polished.
Yeah.
With a very fine cloth, you know. So that, I think, is amazing. When his hand breaks off,
yes,
my dude.
And the way they posed it is his hand breaks off and goes in front of one of the windows in the main hull.
They ask him, can you take your glove off? I want to see what happens. And he takes his glove off, his hand freezes up, and something comes out the background, whacks it, breaks his hand off, frozen on a stump, and he just stares at it.
Yep.
And suddenly, like you were saying, the hand just starts floating through the air.
And absolute serenity.
Yeah.
People can see it flying outside the window, the main hull, but it just goes unnoticed. He goes unnoticed.
Yeah, that beautiful shot inside the spaceship.
Yes.
Where they're dollying past the crew members sitting at tables. And outside the window, on the opposite side of them, his hand is floating by. And they just carry on with their lives. Like it's normal. Like who cares about Mickey?
Yeah, who cares about Mickey?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, every couple of seconds there's going to be an asshole driving past.
Yeah. This guy's house is right next to a main road, so we don't have the luxury.
In Bantry Bay, Hilton.
Yes, the Bantry Bay Main Street. Next door to the McDonald's.
I must say, my dream come true. I will say the one thing that is really impressive throughout the film as well is the color theory. You know, how Mark Ruffalo, and for the life of me, I can't remember his wife's name.
The character's name?
Character's name.
I don't know.
Yeah. But
frankly, I don't care. I don't like her either.
Because they're not important. They are the side characters of the film. I loved how Mark Ruffalo and his wife's room emulated the same look that was back on Earth. That like very yellow sepia.
Everything in this film, it feels so beyond our years. It feels so futuristic. A lot of stuff felt so futuristic. Even on Earth, so people were signing up to get onto the spaceship. Even that building, as beautiful as it was, felt very modern and futuristic. But then you get into Mark Ruffalo's room and his wife's room where they're having dinner at this dining room table. And every piece of furniture and item in there is vintage, like old school, almost Baroque period pieces, you know?
Think about it now. Do you remember when Mickey's loan shark scene?
Yes.
Do you remember what it looks like in that restaurant? It's also very old,
but that's
wooden tables.
80s retro.
Yeah, it's like, I love that idea that they're juxtaposing these two worlds, because when they're in the airport, that amazing environmental stuff that's going on throughout the window, you know, the sandstorm, and then it's raining, and then it's this. And it's so juxtaposed to what's inside the airport, because that's super modern and super clean and super white and crisp. And outside, it's this yellow sepia, wonderful.
Just leeches modernity. And then suddenly you're struck by the reality outside of that. This is what we're going to show you, so that you feel confident about the decision you're making, because in reality, everything outside is crap.
Yeah.
But now you get on the ship, and you know what? We like the crap, by the way.
We do like the crap. We love the crap.
We love it, right?
We eat it up.
We eat it up, and they do.
They do. Oh my gosh, the food that they get served on the ship?
It's atrocious. Yeah.
I would just die.
It's also part of the story.
It is part of the story.
Your literal rewards on the ship are to go and have dinner with Mark Ruffalo and eat
like
nice food,
rare steak
and sauce.
And sauce. When they feed poor Mickey the lab-grown meat.
And then they inject him with...
And he's like, I'm fine.
He's like, retching all over the freaking place. It's horrible. But even the sound design.
Sound design was amazing.
Echoes, boots in the snow.
Oh, that crunch of the snow.
The crunch. The quiet horror of existentialism in the tin can. Everything has a hum. There's like a low hum. Even in the silence, there's a low hum in the ship.
But ironically, then you cut to the end of the film where, she's taken lead of the court and it's for the first time in the film, no more hum, quiet. And I think, in that
and everyone's
scene,
moving off the ship.
Yeah.
I think it resolves really nicely in that.
It does.
Yeah.
Da Vinci Resolve.
Da Vinci Resolve. What would your job be if you had to relive it 17 times? Da Vinci Resolve, right?
Ooh, how many times could I relive Da Vinci Resolve?
Yeah. Which version of yourself would finally rage quit Da Vinci?
Or I got to be honest, I'm very much one to stick to something once I've seen it through. So I would be 34. It would solidly be
solid version 34.
Solid version 34.
You'd be I'll try something else.
Oh wait, I'm being abused and tortured. Okay.
But I wouldn't rage quit Da Vinci. I actually want to move Da Vinci. Version 1 of me wants to drop After Effects right now. And I am. I'm busy learning Nuke because that's
How is it going?
That's going great. I mean, we'll talk about that at some time. After Effects useful in many respects. I have a lot of use for it. Rate the film on a hyper-specific post scale.
Ooh, okay. Rate the film. If I'm talking about post, we're not talking about plot here. Just about post. I give it a solid 8.5 creepers out of 10. It was amazing. From the color grading to the set design to the audio design to the editing. It was such a well-paced film. The irony is, yes, it's an odd film to watch, but never, even coming to the end of it, did I think once, okay, this film is running on too long. I really enjoyed it.
I completely agree. I think 8 out of 10 clones.
8 out of 10 clones.
8 out of 10 clones. For that post-production, I think you're hitting an 80% mark, right? Where out of 800 shots, 600 of them are spot on perfect.
Yeah.
The other 200 are about 70% of the way there. I think there's very, very small occasions where you can tell that the guys are trying to fix stuff that obviously was a problem, or trying to find sneaky ways to get around cloning the clone situation. Seeing a back of someone in a clone scene, I know that guy's wearing a wig. I know there's a guy standing there that looks just like Robert and is wearing a wig.
Yeah.
I know how long
gang
Robert...
tattoo on the back of his neck.
Yeah. I'm so glad it was a locked cut eventually.
Yeah. It's shame. I mean, one thing that they did struggle with, which Bong Joon-ho even came forward and spoke about, was in the actual process of compiling the film, it was delayed by up to 4 months. And that was mostly because of the VFX, because he wanted them to be perfect. And I get why, because Parasite, his previous film, such a high standard to match again.
And very well renowned, surrounded by awards, to be honest.
Yeah.
Bong Joon-ho has a reputation in the film industry. Now, he's experimenting with a lot of concepts from books, from animes, from manga, etc., and putting them into his films. He's making very special content. And it's very important to remember that making the MCU sagas and the superhero movies, yes, there is filmology going on in certain cases. Actually, I think Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick was a fantastic series.
Top Gun,
but
it was fantastic.
The MCU sagas, they just fall off because eventually you lose interest. It becomes the soapy of the film industry. This is real filmmaking, in my opinion. This piece of material is something that will go into film schools. It is something that will go to festivals. It is something that will be aired across the world for generations.
But ironically, it performed so badly on its opening month. And that's such a pity, because it's a great film. And I think this is where, that not everyone is going to like your art. And that is the reality of it. Your art is not going to be for everyone. And that is what this film is. It is a film for those who see it for what it is. It's a piece of art. The film was a piece of art.
And it's talent. And it's driven by talent. You can see the effort and the time and frankly, the money that has gone into making something this profound and impressive. Again, the story fell hard, or the post fell hard because of the acting. The acting did feel a little bit improvised.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's a visual feast.
It is a visual feast.
Have you said everything you need to say?
I've said everything I need to say.
I think Mickey 17, go watch it.
Go watch
You'll
it.
be very, very happy to. When you guys do, please write in. Let us know your favorite posty moments from the film. We would really, really enjoy to hear what you guys thought about it in the comments. And in the next episode, next time, we return to the land of practical timelines and impractical clients.
Oh, God. Everyone has their gripes.
You know, render.
Everyone has those days. Everyone makes mistakes.
Everyone gets that. Oh, they're talking about. I don't know the words. Yeah, render, rinse, repeat. Let's see what we can do with that topic. Anyway, Bong Joon-ho gave us 17 clones and 1 million frames of crunchy sci-fi. So glad we had our thoughts on it. We had thoughts, okay? Thank you so much for your performance, Bong Joon-ho. You've done a fantastic job.
You have.
We really enjoyed your movie, and I will most likely watch it again. Over and over and see how many times I can spot screw-ups.
Yeah.
It's become a pastime for me, watching movies.
Watching movies is not about watching a movie anymore. It's about observing.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like that is our job at the end of the day. My job is to observe and replicate. And replicate sounds bad.
Yeah, replicate does sound very bad. We don't still work as
replicate. I don't condone replication unless it's Mickey.
Oh, one thing that I just want to say, if you do want to watch the film, unfortunately, it is out of cinemas currently. If you are lucky enough to stay in Cape Town, you can go catch it at the Lobby Theatre. I think it's still on a showing street for another 2 weeks. And it will be heading on to streaming services from, I think, mid-May.
Mid-May. Yeah.
Please, go watch it.
Don't torrent it.
Don't torrent. Torrenting is bad.
Yes. But I'm glad we got to watch it. Let's get going.
Let's do it. Bye.
Bye.